Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Project Roundtable. Oh, we got one more person joining us. Hey, Matish.
Hello! I can only stay for about half an hour, Matish, because I've got to go and host I Love Everyone with Jubilee.
All right, I guess we can get started on this one.
Okay.
So welcome to the Project Roundtable. This is, of course, well, as the name may suggest, a roundtable about projects where people who come will talk about their projects. Oh, we got someone else joining us. Hello.
Hi, Brett. How you doing? You all right? Can't stay too long, so I'm going to be dropping out in a minute, but I'm glad you're here. Brett, have you met Thomas and Masush and Adriel? Say hello.
Hey, Brett.
Hey there, everybody.
All right, we just went through the intro. I guess we can dive right in and start going into projects. Now, I've met two of you before. Not sure who all has projects. Anybody want to go first? For sort of giving a quick update into the project and where things are at. And of course,
Thomas?
if you need help with anything.
Thomas, do you want to go?
Sure, I can go. Sure. So I have a concept for an educational platform, a website mostly, but the true product is going to be the database of just educational content. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I have some ideas for the actual website, but as I said, the big product is the database. It's like just what I'm imagining is something like a GitHub for educational content. So we expose an API that other programmers can use to access our database with courses and study programs and animations and textbooks and so on. So that's the short description.
Okay, cool. And how are things going with that project?
Well, I've been writing about it and researching it, looking for other projects that might already be doing this, so I don't have to do it. So, and I've been researching the technology that I will be using. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to start coding now next week. So.
Okay, cool. And so, assuming that you can't find another project that does the same thing, what would you need help with in your project?
Well, I guess I'm pretty new to software development. I just graduated college, I guess, university. So I will have some technical difficulties. But now in the beginning, I think it's just solidifying the idea and just starting it, I think. So I don't think I need any special help with it, but maybe discussing it with somebody else if they have input that I can use. So.
Okay, sounds good. And Brett, do you have a project?
Yeah, thank you for just letting me jump right in, I guess. I was going to say I've been following some of the GameBee posts. I'm in the community. It's the first time I'm joining. And wanted to use it as an entry point to get to know some people. So I guess we're just praxis and we'll just jump right in. And
yep.
I generally seek to understand, let's say, before being understood, but I appreciate also just jumping in and being an equal member. So thank you for the invitation and thank you for hosting these calls, Adriel. Yeah, it's nice to be here. So I'm working on several different projects. So I guess today, right now in the group, I'll focus on the one that's really most alive in the now, and that's an alternate reality game called World Without Money. This is, in essence, a prequel to a bigger vision I have, which I'll talk about maybe next week or another time. So alternate reality games are sort of let's say, known. They're not well known by everybody, but they're out there in the world. They've mostly been used for product placement and marketing. There are some more humanitarian efforts that have been out there, and I was inspired by one from 2007 called World Without Oil. So I got inspired by that and started thinking of World Without Money. So without getting into the super details of what an ARG, alternate reality game is, that's what I'm working on. I like to just jump right in quite often and fly by the seat of my pants. And impulsive and creative person, so it's hard for me to just wait or be strategic all the time. So I kind of just like to jump in. So right now I have a Facebook group I created with just about 20 people in it. I've got like a 1-2 page kind of treatment of what is the premise of a world without money. What's the sort of prompts? What are we acting as if? What's the purpose of this alternate reality game? And I'm kind of in the space of just seeing if I can magnetize / recruit, inspire people to want to participate in taking this ARG from organic kind of bootstrapping, let's see what happens, to maybe a more official kind of launch by the end of the year, which is more the way it's kind of supposed to be done, with the website and be prepared and have a strategy for social media and all these different things that would go into something like an alternate reality game. And I'm going to start hosting workshop sessions starting tomorrow, like getting people to create some content. And I'm not a facilitator, so we'll see. I'm sure it'll be quite messy to begin with. I'm experimenting, but that's what I'm up to, like finding content creators, creative people of all kinds, because something like this kind of needs all kinds of content and artists and strategists, marketers, photographers, writers. It doesn't matter really. Anyone can participate. So that's what I'm up to. Thanks for listening.
All right, sounds good. And I guess you already covered what you need help with the content creation. Was there any other parts that you need help with?
I would just, maybe I would highlight, I'm looking for facilitators who have their own skill set for facilitating and maybe their own processes and models. I don't care if you like use dragon dreaming or this or that. I'm looking for some facilitators that would resonate with the premise of this World Without Money game and be able to host workshops or hackathons at different time zones without me having to always be the one doing that. I want to decentralize it and empower facilitators to start helping people create content. So they would sort of be in service to that mission, but also being able to express their facilitation skills and how they like to do things and applying that knowledge to with the toolkit of here's like, the world without money, we have to achieve this, this, and this. But as far as how you facilitate creativity, that's up to you if you have your own model or something, rather than prescribing a certain model. So that would be the most helpful, because that can catalyze. What we really want is all this content. So when we launch someday, we have all of this material to launch with. So it's like already made. And then through that process, hopefully I'll find other people that want to work more in the background, like strategy and website development, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, thanks.
Okay. And then where does that game take place? Will that be like in a video call like this? Is it a video game?
Well, an alternate reality game has been traditionally transmedia. So we're going to stick with transmedia as far as eventually people will act as if it's the year 2025. We're transitioning to a world without money. It's the last week of celebrations and transition. It's not about scarcity or like powerlessness. It's like, we're here. It's 2025. Dude, we're planning concerts, festivals. Like, we've got permaculture in space. We've actually got all the solutions in place. So it's really an empowering thing. Like, we're there now in 2025. And of course, people should also be sharing their trials and tribulations and the fears they had in getting here. What part did they play? Like, what were their fears, etc. So they'll do things like leave blog posts, social media posts. They'll make videos. They might act as if they're reporting live from, Times Square. It's the last week and there's a party about to happen. So it's all about role play and collective imagination. So any way that you can contribute to that story, like telephone calls, emails, anything, we're going to create all these different portals into contributing content. So Zoom calls will be big, anything, and then hopefully someday festivals where we're actually acting as if,
Right. Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for asking.
Right. Mateusz.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, cool. I doubted if. So yeah, my project that I speak of but never showed really to almost anyone. Its name is Hyperlogos, and I never mentioned that before as well. So it is ready to be started to be actually used. Thank you very much, Kerry. Yeah, Kerry kindly offered to take a look and see if it's in any way suitable for having a map of like stuff and everything, because it is always possible that that what I did will actually be useful. We'll see. And yeah, I'll be onlining the second version of the prototype hopefully this weekend or early next week. But this weekend should be possible. And then it will be tested. It will be used initially, and I pretty much hope that whatever is found to be not working or insufficiently working, I'll be able to fix quickly enough for it to be, continued to be used, and hopefully, yeah, it will be live. So great.
Can I ask? Can I ask a question of him, Adriel? Can you just repeat? Can you just repeat what it is? Your accent and the background. I wasn't quite clear about what it is you were sharing. Is it a platform? I didn't hear the beginning.
Me?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. It's a kind of software to facilitate visualizing of data and knowledge and information in general in a more non-linear way.
That makes sense. I just didn't hear the first time. Thank you. We'll look forward to checking that out.
Yeah, that sounds right up my alley personally.
It's yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
I'll
do you
share
need
it
help
and then
with anything aside from the help that you got from Kerry? Do you need help with anything?
With help from Kerry, I don't believe I need anything right now. Anything else?
Cool.
So,
I look forward to finally seeing that.
Yeah, it's time to get out of the cave.
I just said I'm really excited about doing it. I couldn't get to sleep last night after chatting to you. So yeah. So I'm going to drop out because I've got to go and look the world with Jubilee, but I'll catch you all later, okay? See you later.
All right. Thanks, Gary. I guess that makes it my turn. So my project is called WikiLection. It is a platform to help fight misinformation. I've actually been working with Matoush on it, and there is I don't know what to call it, an early conceptual, like actual coded version. I guess it's not conceptual, it's like pre-alpha.
I would say it's alpha. I mean, it depends how you define, but the basic functionality is there, and that makes it something between alpha and beta.
Right.
Because that's like a base for further development. But what needs to be there right now is. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting it started, and I mean, I always need help with quite a few pieces. I guess a lot of it would be the actual sort of community management, marketing, that sort of thing, like actually talking to people and trying to help get people interested. Because in the end, it's going to end up being a crowd-funded project because it kind of can't be owned by anyone and can't accept like large corporate or any sort of financial contribution that might skew how people think about it. Like if a certain company is involved, it's also in a way a source of media. So we're trying to keep it, separate from the issue that plagues standard media now. I don't want to go too deep into it because I could talk for that about hours, but I think a fair number of people that watch this have probably heard me talk about it a fair bit, but until it's actually probably into beta, I don't think there's too much that needs to happen aside from just it being coded and being filled with data and tested. So I guess in future sessions, I'll probably need some testers and people to help add data, but as it stands now, I'm getting help from Atush, and that's probably all I need. So after everyone has shared, typically what we do is if somebody wants to go in the hot seat, we can sort of dive deeper into somebody's project and sort of talk about that in more detail and either help answer an unanswered question, help brainstorm ideas, or something like that for someone's project. So does anyone have any burning questions that they want to sort of ask the group or get feedback on or that sort of thing? Thomas?
Sure, I can go. So I guess for my project, what I would like to talk about is your ideas for a better educational platform. I guess there are some that are really good out there, like Khan Academy and stuff like that, edX. And the thing that I'm focused on is that while they do some things very well, they don't do all of the things very well. Some of them are open source, some are not. Some of them have open content, some do not. Some are behind the paywall. So there is no one that ticks all the boxes that I want to tick. And also, I want to implement some well-known techniques for increased learning and teaching. And so I would love to hear your feedback on that.
By education, you mean from the basic to like top level, or which part of?
Yeah, so what I'm envisioning is pretty much just like a GitHub for educational content. And educational content is like educational resources. It's textbooks, it's scientific papers, it's courses, study programs, pictures, animations. So it's like just building a huge database of educational resources, I guess, and collaborative.
No. Of knowledge in general, or like some section of it? Because
No,
you mean like languages, math, the sciences, and
no. My vision is that it's completely just general. So you can build courses on whatever you want. And it's not much of a game B idea, but I imagine that if we envision that game B will outcompete game A, game B should dominate the website itself. So, I guess.
well, generally, education is, I think, the biggest part of everything. At least that's what I been hearing recently from like all angles. Education is the absolute basic for everything else. Which, well, if you look at the world, lack of education is or wrong education, wrong kind of education, is what caused most of the problems, I think it can be said. But what's your vision for? Do you want it to make it like official and have like grades that correspond to official schooling systems, or is it just education?
I would say that I'm agnostic. The site should be agnostic for that. You can use it for wherever you want. The schools can create their courses and study programs on there if they want. But you as an individual can also do it. Or you can, just like in GitHub, make pull requests and do forks and stuff like that. Make your own versions of other courses and suggest improvements and stuff like that.
Yeah. Were you finished, Maciej? Can you hear me okay, Thomas? Yeah. Yeah, so I'm especially interested in making sure I'm clear about, well, in the old world they would call like unique selling points. So it sounds like the GitHub is what you're trying to bring that's unique, especially compared to a lot of other platforms. I have a couple questions. One,
I'll do that.
are you building your first example of this as a Web 2.0 application, like standard, JavaScript, let's say, or and on servers and all that? Or are you going to build it on a decentralized platform? Like, what is your, so in 1 second answer that, like, what's your short-term vision, and then you're like maybe your long-term vision? And then the other question was, I know what GitHub is. I'm not a developer. I mean, I know what it is, but I was wondering if you could do a quick, like super quick sort of user journey to share how it's different. Like somebody comes onto your platform, they found a course for physics, but because it's a GitHub type of space, they can take that course for GitHub, obviously, right? And then they can fork it and kind of like alter some of it. And then now there's 2 courses for physics with some changes. So I don't know, maybe you could just share a little bit more about how you envision that all, and especially with Web 2.0, 3.0, like, do you want to build it on Ethereum or EOS or Holochain, et cetera, that has benefits for some of the GitHub type of things? Or are you going to start obviously with more Web 2.0, which is way more feasible and way more doable to begin?
Yes, I'm not even familiar with Web 3.0, but and I'm not advanced enough in software development yet to even launch like a big distributed thing. I guess my first attempt will be a very small prototype, but my vision for it is, well, GitHub first, I guess. So the vision is that, well, GitHub works like this, that you pretty much just have a folder online with code or any type of documents, really. And every time you make changes to it, the history of the changes is recorded and you can revert back. And on top of that, other people can make suggestions. Here you go, here's some improvement to your code or your text document, and then you can accept it into your folder. And people can also copy your folder and go off and do their own thing with your code or text document. Pretty much.
Have you identified anything else like this yet? Like in any other space for education?
No, not anything that ticks all the boxes that I want to do. Open source, open content, collaborative, and all that. I guess GitHub could be used for it, and it is, I guess, but there is no like a website where it's, I'm envisioning something where you log on, and if you are a teacher, you can just pretty much drag and drop onto a document and like interactively create some kind of course or any resource. And then you publish it. People can suggest changes that you can accept, or they can make their own version and take pieces of different courses that they find and assemble their own study program or course like that. And if we're able to build a big library of, say, textbooks and animations and pictures, you can also reference them or include them in your work. So that's the vision.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. And I apologize if any of this was gone over, because I think I missed your intro. But so are you envisioning that all the content that's generated would be stored in this system, or is there any thought to linking out to existing content?
Yes, I failed to mention that when what's your name? I'm sorry, Brett Minster asked me about the previous projects. There are some that do kind of similar things. There is connections or OpenStacks, which they provide free textbooks, and they also have some kind of functionality for creating projects where people can collaborate, but it's not a killer app, or I would say. And there are some APIs that I could access. I have a list somewhere, but there is at least one API for accessing scientific papers, and there's another one for okay, Brett. There's another one for textbooks, I think.
So let me run kind of an idea in similar space that I had been bouncing around, and you can compare and contrast to your idea. So I thought with all the information on the internet, it'd be nice if there's a way to just bring together a course that would suggest existing content. So it'd just be linking out to YouTube, linking out to blog posts on Medium and stuff like that. Put those in a specific order and maybe add quizzes to it and stuff like that. Just as a quick and dirty way to organize all the amazing content out there. And then a piece that I thought that was pretty important is helping people find out which course they need to do and maybe in what order, because sometimes you'll have a set of knowledge and you need to figure out kind of what's my next step, or if I just want to go into this big area and what helps for me for my learning. Like maybe I may learn better from videos or from text and have some sort of way of search or filtering the potential courses or customizing a course for me. That's something that I was hoping existed, and if it doesn't, it's something I consider as a future project. So how's that compare and contrast to your idea?
Yeah, so I agree. That would be awesome. And but one thing with, as I said earlier, I don't know if you were here, but I want to give open access to the database so that people can do whatever they want with the information, with the data stored. But I also want to provide a website some time in the future where it's kind of opinionated, because I feel that most educational resources and content is actually not that good. And I found this through my own education that I just finished, that it's a lot of passive learning, and there are several techniques that skyrocketed my grades and how I performed in school, which they never talk about and they never used. And there are some who use it. Like I've done a couple courses on Khan Academy, and they are very good about it. But they don't tick the other boxes that I want to tick. Like they have interactive coding, they encourage you to think about the problem before moving on and stuff like that. So that's what I want to bake that in, so that in the website we encourage people to use the functionality that is there, so that like you read a small paragraph, maybe you get asked a question and you're prompted to answer it, and maybe the question will come up sometime later during the day also, so that you get a refresh, what's called spaced repetition and active recall, so that you have to search your mind first and try to remember the answer before answering and stuff like that.
Yeah, spaced repetition is a really good tool. Yeah, so I was thinking of something to consider, except it wouldn't contain any of the content. It wouldn't have had those dynamic features that you're suggesting, because it would just be linking to external documents. But having the spaced repetition as part of it was something I was thinking of.
Yeah, and one other thing that I see as a big problem is that access to content is not a problem. There is so much out there to learn. And I have a specific example when I was researching GraphQL, a technology which some may know, some may not know. And like the 5 first tutorials and sites I watched, they all had the same information. So it's like it's impossible to go further. It feels like. So if there was one place where you can go and read like GraphQL 1 and then GraphQL 2 and then GraphQL 3, and we can encourage that so people can go deeper and deeper and deeper into one subject. That's also something I want.
Yeah, and maybe even a knowledge tree like they have in the video games on your skill sets and stuff. Yeah, I thought that would be an interesting piece to have in it as well, but I didn't consider the kind of the active learning pieces that you're suggesting, so that's interesting.
So Thomas, is the goal to get like a collection of different topics, like sort of as many as possible, or is it also to explain the same topics in as many different ways as possible, like so to cover the different learning styles and possibly even in different languages?
Yes, hopefully. I mean, it's like everything I say just make the project blow up and blow up and blow up, but that's the vision. That one thing I was thinking about is like if you have someone writing a physics 1 and another person writing a physics 1 class, how do you determine what's best for you?
Right.
And I was thinking, I've been using a site called Code Wars, and they have 2 metrics that they track. It's best practices and clever. So I was thinking maybe you could use like 20 tags or something and say that people who finish a course can say, this is good for people who need a lot of visuals. This course is good for people who need a lot of active repetition, a lot of interaction, and stuff like this was chunked well. It was like small pieces, or this had longer pieces which require longer attention spans or something like that, so that
Right.
you can tag and then filter.
Okay. Do you plan on having like some kind of a framework to make courses sort of roughly follow the same path, so that like you could possibly have, if somebody wanted to have maybe one website to cover physics content, but they want to cover it in a bunch of different ways, they just pull that, but it's at least they can know sort of how it would be structured, versus somebody else says, I want to cover, 30 topics, but I just want to cover this one type of a learning style. But again, in a way that, they can pull it and sort of expect a certain kind of a format.
Yeah, so what I'm envisioning is something like a standard format for courses to be stored, at least, of course, if you're going to, or else you can't handle them. But I also want to make the website at least opinionated a bit, to steer people in the direction of interactive learning and stuff like that. But I think it should be, since I also want to build a big database of content, it can't be that opinionated. So I guess it will be opt-in. I hope that people realize that these functionalities are good, so they will use it and therefore be more popular. So That's how I see it.
Okay, I
Are
think
you going
that makes
to
sense.
follow like the well-established of science and everything?
Your audio is cutting in and out, Matush.
1, 2, 3. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, I was curious. How do you want to protect your site from like obvious problems like the flat Earth, for example? Trying to
The
focus
first
on
half,
the
I heard like, how do you want to protect your site from, and then it went garbled.
flat Earth society. Better?
No, you might type your question. We can read it out.
Yeah, that would be good. And while he's typing that, I just wanted to note in the Facebook group, I put a link to the solution raising on education. If you haven't watched that, that might be worth a listen, because that was kind of a deep dive into some different things that people sort of would want to see in an education platform.
I saw that. It was very interesting. I liked it.
If anyone else has anything, feel free to chime in while we're waiting for Matush to type his question.
So, Thomas, you're learning software. Oh, protect from the flat Earth society. Martu says so. People wanting to put in training about things that are fake and false.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's something I struggle with in general. Just like if you develop software or any other technology that's open for everyone, how do you that can have bad consequences as well. So I don't know is my answer. Right now, I think I
Do you
should
mean
just
protect?
put it out there.
Do you mean protected from license wise, like which type of license, or do you mean security of the actual technological security?
No, preventing people from putting false information on it.
Well, I guess
Preventing people from false
the
information.
one solution is like the tagging and voting is like a form of peer review, I guess. So when people filter after stuff, maybe we can have like a button for scientific rigor. And if no one presses that button when they read about flat Earth, it's not going to rank well. It can be hijacked by lunatics, I guess, but tough luck, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that does get tough. And I can see how a lot of different groups that you might not want involved might want to add their content there, which, yeah, that gets hard. It's like, do you police it and not let them add it? Or do you let them add it and just allow the community to decide what gets, highlighted at the top and what gets buried under, 98% of the people that watched this said it was bad and, for various reasons, so maybe we don't show it to people.
I think on your opinionated website, you can, of course, police it because that's a curated area. And if they want to use the software and put it on their own website, feel free, just like WordPress and Wikipedia. It's open source. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah. And I think that maybe
It's a big design question.
Yeah, it is. But I think that maybe the domain of education, it's not like they're the same people that will get involved as in social media or something. I guess if you have long documents containing technical information and stuff like that, I don't know if terrorist people or, will get involved at all, but maybe it's possible.
Well, I think you'll have the same issues Wikipedia is, and could probably use their similar methodology for protecting against that type of thing.
So how do they do it?
That's a big question. I said, just go look it up. I mean, they have documents on it, on their thing, but basically there's people, you get reputation, and then you have the ability to lock people out with lower reputation, and then there's a place to debate it on the site itself.
Yeah, that seems great. It's like almost like the tagging system as well. It's like, yeah, I like it, but I'm long ways from that, so we'll see in the future, I guess.
Yeah. So if the conversation's kind of dying on that, I can I missed the intro, and I can do my little weekly stand-up.
Sure, sounds good.
So my project is Reason Score. It's a tool for mass agreement. It's kind of online debating. And for Thomas, it theoretically could be used to settle community disagreements about what could be it could be an additional tool to some of the other stuff that they do. And what I've been up to, I didn't actually get a whole bunch done, but I am creating an explainer about the problems with the United States dietary guidelines that are about to come out. So that's how I'm spending my time, and that's kind of a test and experiment with the tool. And I'll be sharing that probably hopefully I'll have it done by next Thursday, and we have our post in the Game B projects post, and I can link to that and people can give feedback. And then I was working on putting blog posts on my website. I got the website for Gullibot, gullibot.com, gullibot.com. That is the character that will be representing the system when people are debating. So you'll be giving your facts to Gullibot, and he'll be rating things using the Reason Score. And that way people will see it hopefully as less opinionated and more objective, and they'll understand when he's wrong because someone put in something stupid. Well, he's a robot. He just knows what people have told him. If you think he's wrong, you need to tell him the correct stuff. So I think with my discussions with people, they really need, they don't seem to understand what the system is unless there's some sort of personification in there. So that's what I've been up to and what I'm going to do.
Cool. Thanks, Bentley.
Thomas, is there anything we should be doing to help you with this project?
I don't think so. I just want to start by making a very, very simple prototype, like showing the front page of a course or something like that. And I'm using some new technologies as well that I haven't used. So I have some ways to go to get started. So.
And did anyone else have any other requests for help on their project this week?
Thomas, if you want to do a bit of a deep dive on the sort of like tech stack for your project, both Bentley and Matoush were able to help me a fair bit with mine, although I'm not a coder, so I actually probably needed help more than you did.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to do right now is a pretty simple, like Postgres database with GraphQL API made in .NET, because I'm starting my first software development job in August, and they are using .NET, so that's why I want to use it. So, and for the front end, I'm going to use React because everyone's using React, and it's easier to find people who know React than I have used Angular before in 3 projects. So that's pretty much it. That's where I'm starting from.
Yes, so both Bartush and I do React, and I don't know if Martush has, but I've done .NET since it came out, about a year after it came out. So if you have any questions, I can answer. If you do any VB6, I could help with that too, but you won't be doing that. But before .NET, there was Visual Basic. So
it's a throwback. I haven't heard people talk about Visual Basic for years.
right. But so if you need any help, let us know.
Yes, I was thinking about maybe using Reason React, Reason ML, if you know it.
I haven't played with that yet. I saw it, I think.
Yeah, we had a course in functional programming in my university, and we used OCaml, which is the language that Reason ML is built upon. So I know it somewhat, and I think that functional programming is very good, especially for front-end development, I think. But if I want to have any collaborators, I think it's better to just go with vanilla React.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Great. Sounds like Brett is taking off. Thanks for showing up, Brett.
Thank you.
And if there's nothing else, we might call the session for today. Or unless somebody has something that they wanted to bring up.
Not sure if my microphone is working right now.
Yeah,
We can hear
you
you.
heard that.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I found recently is you don't have to use Postgres at the start. You can use something lightweight like Firebase, which might help to speed up the project.
Yeah, so I heard your discussion about Firebase and that stuff. I have used Firebase once before in an Android app, but yeah, I just I want to do it in Postgres, I guess. But I think I would just keep it small to just do it iteratively. Maybe just use start with one table and like flesh it out. So
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
definitely, especially with the prototype, it's best to go with what you're familiar with and the technologies you want. If I was doing it, the initial prototype, I wouldn't even have Firebase as a backend. I would just literally have JSON documents in the project and be showing stuff on the screens, right? Just to iterate quickly. But that's my process. But I did a lot of database at the beginning, and so sometimes you think from the database forward, right? So it just depends on how your brain's working on the problem.
Yeah, so that's pretty much why I decided to go with an SQL database, because that's how I think. I start with the database modeling, and I feel like the database is the most important thing. The API is the second most important thing, and the website, it could go. I could live without it actually. So
Yeah, it depends also, where are the problem spaces that you're exploring, and you're trying to figure out how to structure the data in a common, useful way. So I could see that.
And depends if you are the end user or the creator. From creator's point of view, yes, the database API interface from your end user's viewpoint, it's the interface everything. So
I think I got 2 words of that.
I think you're gonna have to do some debugging on your mic.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of the teachers from Charlie Brown, if you remember that. Yeah, and this is the first. I think usually we hear you fine. So, okay. As I said, did different computer than you usually use? All right. That would explain it.
yeah, so regarding the tech stack, I know that like it's a big beginner problem that you start with the whole stack, and you have too great of a vision. But I don't know. That's how I'm used to working, like doing the full stack. So I think it actually is better for me.
Yeah, that's definitely a good reason to do it that way. All right, I think we'll go ahead and end it there.
Sounds like it. All right. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week, I guess. Cheers.
Cheers.